Hello, my name is Lucas. This is a bit of lit, and I'm here to celebrate my AC being turned on. You can see I'm not very sweaty today because I've had the AC today. I got it fixed, thank God. But more importantly, I'm still in the kitchen just because my girlfriend is sitting where I want to sit, and I don't really feel like moving stuff around to sit by the bookshelf. But I'm here to celebrate finally getting a package that I paid in part for in April. Sean the Book Maniac was unhauling as many books as he could as he prepared to leave Japan and to go back to Canada. And he figured I'm in the same hemisphere, continent at least, not just the northern hemisphere, but the eastern one. But I'm in the same continent, not the same country, but the same continent as him, fairly close, Tokyo to Shanghai. And he thought maybe I would be interested in some of his books. And all the ones he showed me, actually, I was interested in all of them, but with the way I was feeling with the lockdown, I was just like, the only one I'm really interested in is this one book in particular, although I want all of them. I decided to restrain myself because I didn't know what the postage would be. We had a bit of a tricky discussion because he kept asking me, about paying the postage, and I was just thinking like, I'm in lockdown. How would it get here? There's no way. Completely ignoring his, I don't, his comments to say, I don't know what that has to do with you paying. But thank you, Sean. Sorry for the confusion. I was in a totally different headspace, given that I had been locked down at that time for like 2 weeks, but ultimately for 2 months. Anyway, he, in his graciousness and kindness, sent me 2 books. I had paid for the postage for the one that I really, really wanted, but he sent me the other book that I was quite interested in. I actually don't know who this is, but I do enjoy me some Tong poetry. This is a book by Richard M.W. Ho, and it's about Chun Tzu-ang, who's the innovator of Tong poetry. And yeah, we can see there's a little bit of grease. I think that comes from me, my fault. I put it down in a greasy spot by accident. as soon as I got it out of the book, I just anyway, there's the author himself, and a cool little painting, and it says it contains the first detailed study in the English language of Chun Tzu-ang. Chun Tzu-ang? Okay. The author of the 38 Kanyi poems. He's regarded as the first poet in the Tang Dynasty to openly criticize the effeteness of the poetry of his time and advocated a return to the seriousness of the Han Wei style. For his efforts and influence, he was deservedly been accorded the role of innovator in Tang poetry. This book is divided into 2 sections. First one dealing with the life and times of Chun Tzu-ang, and ends with a general appraisal of the poet's political philosophy. Section 2 deals with the poetry of Chun Tzu-ang and is devoted to the analysis of the enigmatic Kanyu poems, and some of Chun's regular poems are also analyzed to show his diverse poetic attainments. The section concludes with a collection of references to the poet by the Tang literati as evidence of his indisputable importance in the history of Tang literature. Sounds really cool to me. So thank you for that. I was interested in this, although I just, different headspace. And that was only 2 weeks in. You should have seen me 6 weeks in, man. By week 7, I knew that we were going to open in a week, so it was not so bad. It was just like, patience, my friends, patience. And week 8, freedom. I was going out all the time, and now I don't ever go out because I don't really care. But it was great. Anyway, this is the book I was really interested in. And it is The Echo of Our Song, Chants and Poems of the Hawaiians, translated and edited by Mary K. Pukui and Alphonse L. Korn. I hope I said their names right. And it has a little phrase up at the top. I'm going to try my best to say this. Haina ia mai ana ka puana, which translates to let the echo of our song be heard. And it looks like this is, well, this phrase comes in a lot of closing lines from 19th century chants and poems. And it's a form of ritual of the things they cherished, the beauty of their islands, the abundance of wild creatures that inhabited their sea and air, the majesty of the rulers and the prowess of their gods. Commoners, as well as highborn chiefs and poet priests, shared in the creation of the chants. These haku mele, or composers. The commoners especially wove living threads from their own historic circumstances and everyday experiences into the ongoing oral tradition, as handed down from expert to pupil, or from elder to descendant, generation after generation. And then it keeps going. This anthology goes from song poems of the Pele and Heiaka cycle and the pre-Christian shark hula for Kalani Opu to post-missionary chants and gospel hymns. These later selections date from the reign of Kamehameha III to that of Queen Liliuokalani. I hope I'm saying their names right. They include, along with heroic chants celebrating 19th century Hawaiian monarchs, a number of works composed by commoners for commoners, such as Bill the Ice Skater, Mr. Thurston's Water Drinking Brigade, and the Song of the Chanter Kaehu. Kaehu was a distinguished leper poet who ended his days at the settlement hospital at Molokai. Yeah, and then it's got some blurbs at the back. University of Hawaii Press, Honolulu, Hawaii. I think this looks really cool. It sounds really great. And I'm really excited to read it. I've always been very interested in learning more about Hawaiians and their culture. Never really been interested in going. I'm not much of a traveler, and I would never go now, realizing, I should say, the, settler colonialism of the state and the history of America there, and the way basically white people have taken advantage, and all that stuff. I would never go. Lots of Hawaiians I see on Twitter say, "Don't come here, we don't want you." Feels harsh. Maybe is harsh, but they make a good point. I would never go, but I'm very curious. So I'm happy to read this, and I will, in the future, be on the lookout for anything about Hawaii, Hawaiians, Hawaiian culture, because it sounds really interesting to me. And yeah, it's definitely something I've always been fascinated by, but only know a little bit about. Even though I did know some of these things that I have seen in the past year or two about Hawaii, sort of didn't really become clear in my mind just how serious it was, until, was it earlier this year or late last year, about the struggles for clean water because the military polluted the water. It's enough to make anyone go crazy. Yeah, anyway, that's enough of that. Very excited about the Tong poet, Chun Tsuong, and also really very excited for this one in particular, The Echo of Our Song, Chants and Poems of the Hawaiians. Very interesting culture and people, and I will be another voice to say, don't go to Hawaii, I guess, unless you're Hawaiian. All right, goodbye.